Welcome back to Ringworm. It's a fine morning, 14 degrees here in Michigan. You really feel that heat sinking right into you. It's nice. Tito was here for the day yesterday, and then he ended up spending the night here. Stayed in his car. I went down there this morning, and nice and hot, just the heat blasting out of it. Him sitting in there in his thermarest reading a book. It looked pretty inviting, to say the least. We got I think about 5 inches of snow coming this afternoon. I'm doing what I can to get all my water bottles warmed up, get some hot water bottles in the cooler so my food doesn't freeze. And then I'm gonna get back to milling. Still got that big pile of cedar logs to go through before I can start siding and roofing the man cave mini cabin here. I am totally digging this tent, this new 4-man winter tent. It's like so much room in there, and I don't know, something about it. It's just real cozy, real comfortable. But you know, when you wake up and it's in the low teens or below, it would be pretty nice just to reach over and turn the propane stove up and get toasty. Not to mention, keep all my water from freezing, my food from freezing. I could bring my coolers in at night, maybe put it up in the rafters or something, I don't know. Wouldn't exactly be winter camping, but it would be nice. Tito was out clearing trees at his building site where he's going to build his own little mini cabin down there, and as he sometimes does, he ripped the pull cord right out of the little chainsaw. So he's going out this morning to get it fixed, to get some more pull cords so we can put it back together. Since he was going out anyway to the hardware store, I sent all my propane bottles with him. Got a little heater in the tent, one in the deer castle, the extra bottle for my stove here. Propane's such a pain in a way. You can't really easily tell how full it is. I mean, you can like dump water on the side of it and look at where it freezes or pick it up and shake it or whatever, but I haven't filled any of them in weeks, so it'd be nice to get them filled up so that when it really starts dumping this afternoon and through this evening, I'll probably just go hang in the deer castle, read a book for a few hours while it snows, and then, you know, once it's dark and I'm tired, I'll head back to the tent. Get up tomorrow and do it all over again. It's a pretty good life, really. Made some pretty good progress on this thing. It is really astounding how fast this goes together. This is like a half day to put 2 walls up, a half day to put the other 2 walls up, and less than that to put the rafters up there. It might be a little too wobbly. Some of these I just threw here because I didn't have anything else to do with them, didn't want to turn them into firewood, but because they got bends in the end or whatever, I'll have to cut them down before I mill it. Since I don't have the other saw here, I'm just going to set them aside and go for the next one. I think that this log and maybe this one here were the uprights. I don't know if you guys remember when I had the tarp up here, it was going to be some kind of other workroom thing, and it just ended up not really turning into anything. Built this sucker instead, but there were a couple uprights that were holding up the whole frame of that thing. I think that's what these are, because they were short, they're like 7 feet long, and I remember that they were really dry, so they'd been standing up there for a whole year. And because they were so dry, I'm now looking in here, and it looks like they soaked up a bunch of water, and they're really dirty. God, I kind of hate to ruin my chain that I just put on there, especially since I can't really peel these now that they're frozen. I guess I'll just go for it. I'm not wasting any logs. There's no way I'm turning these into firewood if I can get a couple boards out of them. All the hard work's done. They're laying here, so let's see if it'll mill. Interestingly, since it sat there for all that time and seasoned, the bark's not even attached to it. That's what I'm talking about. That's how we want them to all peel in the winter. That's great. Just trying to stick my knife in here as a place to put it, and so much water in the wood there. The end isn't too bad, but just frozen wood. I really struggle when I'm milling in the winter when it's really cold like this. It's like if I have a hat on, I can fit a thin hat underneath my helmet. But if the hat's on, I can't wear my earphones. I can't listen to my books and stuff. And then it's days on days standing here milling, and my brain just, you know. But if I leave the hat off when I'm milling, then I can listen to stuff, and my skull just freezes solid. I guess we all have to make our decisions, don't we? I think I'm gonna have to cut the end of this off, get some of the ice out of there. The screws are just gonna split the whole thing. This is an awkward way to do this, but it does work. Kind of like a nice power handle on there, like I'm in the lumberjack games or something. Doesn't take too long to make a good pile. Get siding this thing tomorrow. Always does. Well, I got through 4 logs. I've been looking at the radar. It's been solid blue like for 100 miles for the last 3 hours, and nothing's happened. It finally started snowing. And the wind's just starting picking up. Since it's early afternoon and I'll have plenty of time to sit in the deer castle later on, I think I'm just going to keep going for a while, because that'll also give me a lot of hours to dry out my stuff, my clothes and whatnot. Yeah, do one more log, get a little wet, go chill out for the rest of the day, then start putting stuff on the castle. Castle? Cave. Whatever. Man, it is a pretty morning. Got a few inches of snow last night. I slept for like 10 hours. Actually, last night it was like 7:30. I was talking to my girlfriend Sarah and saying, I think I have COVID or something. I'm so tired. And then I just zonked out. I think it was a full 10 hours without moving. Oh, the deer are in camp, walking around. I almost got to pet one a minute ago, walking through there. Once it snows, they love this area. Few times a winter, every, I don't know, month or something, I start up the wood stove in there just to dry stuff out. So much condensation. Seems like a good enough day to mill up some logs or something. Maybe start hammering some siding on there. Oh, I can smell my French toast. I think it's done. Don't burn you. Oh, perfect. Okay, I'll be with you later. Whoa, what am I doing? This is a rare opportunity to eat breakfast where it's warm. I think once a month it's worth, well, I'm not gonna sit down, I'm not crazy, but eat where it's toasty. Yeah, I could get used to this. Nah. Well, we got through one pile of the two, and I really have a hankering for putting some of those boards up there, doing up one of the walls. I also, once I have the milling stuff out, kind of like to keep going. I might do 2 or 3 more. Man, I wish I had a whole pile of logs like this last one. It's good size in the middle. It mills up so nicely too. It's a pretty good stack, but some of them have bad spots in the middle, so I'll do a couple more. Logs are frozen in place. I really need a sledgehammer. See if we can break them loose. Holy cow. Skinning the log. There it goes. There we go. Woke up this morning, checked the radar, and we got another pretty decent snowstorm coming, so I figured it was about time I chained up the four-wheeler and dug out the plow. Can only get along without plowing for so long till it gets so deep, and then it's a little too late to get it out. Alright, let's go see if we can find that plow, eh? Pretty sure I put it up on blocks. I hope so, because everything metal is frozen to the ground right now. Yep, sweet. You know, just thinking, the smoothest trail, the main trail going out of here is the one I built that bridge on, and I don't know the approach to the bridge. I don't know if it's so steep. This plow doesn't go up very high, so I might be stuck with either having to take snow and pack it down to get over that bridge to make that gully a little bit flatter, or go the really bumpy, gnarly trail that I don't usually drive on, just use it for walking. Look at all the deer tracks out here. Just since last night. They definitely like my bridges. No problem. Not a problem at all. Alright, we got through a little bit of snow there, and now the weather we have coming up is, right now it's 28 degrees. Like I was too hot sleeping last night. Woke up a whole bunch of times and had to take a hat off and put push the sleeping bag off or whatever, but we've got the next 2.5 days from 28. It's going to dive. It's going down into the negative numbers. I think it's supposed to be -2 or -4 in 48 hours. And the downside of that is when it gets down that cold, I can't film anymore. It's just, I actually just sewed a, yesterday sewed a pocket into my, inside of my bibs for the GoPro. But there's so much stuff that I have to keep in here to keep warm, like my phone, my headphones, stuff like that. If it gets that cold, then it's no use to me anymore. And it's all like stacked right on here on my chest. So I don't know, at some point, I guess I could splurge and get some new bibs. Hard decision to make when you're cheap. Anyway, I'm gonna see how much of this I can get done in the next 2 days. I got up today at 4:30, and by 6:30 I was out here by headlamp eating breakfast and whatnot. Try to get the most out of this day, especially because it's in the 20s. It feels great. I get no gloves or anything. All right, I think I just figured the front, I'm going to do the scabs, whatever you call it, the first and last cut off the log when you mill it. That usually just gets thrown away. I think I'm going to do that on the front because I got the door there, so it only takes shorter pieces because I don't think I actually have that many that are really that good. So I'll have to do short pieces here, little tiny short pieces there. If I don't have enough, then I could do the top with some other boards. Then this side, I'm thinking vertical board and batten. I can't remember why I figured that. I mean, I didn't really do much figuring, but this side is the biggest and there's nothing in the way. So I think this is going to be the diagonal board and batten, which I've never seen before. It just seemed like a fun thing to try. Everything is actually going to be underneath a little bit of an overhang on that side. And the roof boards will stick out just a little bit, maybe, I don't know, 10 inches or something. So it's not going to get really wet. And I mean, it's not that big a deal either way. Okay, and then the other side, just to round it out and make all 4 walls different, I'm going to do horizontal boards there. And I guess I'm going to start with that front wall. Let's go ahead and dig through my pile here of all my throwaway stuff. See if hopefully I got enough to do that front wall. And there's a lot of scrap. This is all scraps, just these first and last cuts in here, but some of them are way too thin. If they're super thin like this guy, this is what, like 5 inches. By the time I flip it over, snap a line on both sides, cut it off, you're only getting like 3 inches out of each one. It would take you, what, 30 of these to get up the wall, so those are no good. Some of them are good. I kind of hate to have to draw knife all this. That'll take me a whole day. Yeah, like that's a good one. Except that I gotta draw knife it. That's a pain. All these that I just cut out of the cedar logs I didn't peel because they were frozen. Oof, that's gonna be some work. See how hard these things are to peel. I don't know if they're frozen. Oh, it's not bad. I think it's just barely unfrozen. Oh yeah, if they all came off like that, that'd be stellar. Oh, just took a huge chunk out of the picnic table. Whoops. Oh, this is great. What was that, 30 seconds? Already warmed up. I'm going to try to find all the ones that are usable that are already peeled anyway. Save myself some work. Yeah, like this is, see how thin, skinny this guy is? By the time that's trimmed off, it's just not, I mean, I'll save these for the very top, so if I run out, I can put a whole bunch of little ones on there. But at the bottom, I'll start with the biggest, fattest ones. This one's probably not quite usable. This is better, wider, and it's been seasoned a bit. It's really light. This is all I got for already peeled cedar. Found some others in there, but they were pine, and I don't really want to use pine for the siding, just because I don't do anything to finish it, seal it, or anything. This pine, or the cedar board, should last for a long time. So it looks like a lot, but by the time I snap lines and rip them off. It's going to be about half this much, I bet. So I probably got like 5 feet worth here. So I got a few more. I guess I'll peel. Do my sweating early. This morning I'm listening to Smartless podcast. It's always good for a laugh. Oh, Halle Berry. That's, won't be laughing at that. I don't actually know what that meant. It's nice when they're seasoned like this and dry. You can draw a nice cedar really easily. When it's wet and fresh, it's so stringy that you can't even get it off of there without pulling sheets. Oh, before I forget, I was going to put scraps under here. I don't know what these are called, jacks or something, underneath the sill. I didn't put those in just because it would have been a full 2x4 that I'd have to cut in half. So I've got a whole huge couple piles of these scraps. So I'm just going to just scrap them together in there. Then it'll get sided. I think since this is a door frame, I might have to make a couple 2x4s to do the same here underneath that header. Put another jack or whatever it's called inside the frame there. It'll also give double stud there. Let's see, I guess I'm gonna have the door open out so it doesn't eat up floor space in there. I guess it should open this way. So the door will have to hang on that stud, so that'll need to be doubled anyway, but yeah, it's gotta hold that, gotta hold the top of that up since it's just end nailed. Keep getting snowed on from up there. I got one 2x4 that I made left over. Unfortunately, these are the long ones, so they are solid ice. The tarp wasn't long enough. I guess I can bust that off of there somehow. Not use that side at all. Just like a 1/4 inch of ice on it. So I got that 2x4, and then I'll make one more out of here, and that should be enough to frame the door. Man, it's funny, I always wear a respirator when I do a lot of cutting, and it smells great. If I'm just cutting one board, I don't bother putting it on. But it's amazing, it takes all the smell out of the air and everything, which I guess is the point, but man, that fresh pine smells so good. It's pretty cool looking with that ice on there. As happens when you make your own lumber, you can see this is pretty flush here. I don't think I planed that side as much. And then as you come down, it's got to be not quite a 1/4, but way off, a lot thicker than the other one. So either this got cut thin, this got cut fat, and you know what? I was going to pull it out of there and recut it. Who cares? This thing's not getting drywalled or anything on the inside. It'll have nothing, no insulation, anything. So that's the kind of stuff I'm not really interested in fixing. Maybe the smart thing to do is just to not show anybody my mistakes, and then you guys will just think I'm just some kind of bleeding genius, you know, perfection. Something tells me you don't think that. Anyway, whatever. I didn't do that. I fixed it. It's perfect. Actually, it was right the first time. Calm down. This sucker needs siding. I'm gonna tip over by the time I get it finished. Don't worry, it'll be fine. You guys are, you worry about so much. I cut all these over here on my natural sawhorses. Doesn't it look kind of like somebody murdered a flock of Smurfs here, or maybe dismembered the Blue Man Group on the picnic table? I guess I could wait till spring and sweep all that chalk back up and reuse it, huh? Oh, give me a break. I'm not that cheap. I mean, I'll try it, but probably, nah. Looks pretty good. That'll do for some walls. Alright, something tells me this is not a big enough pile to do the whole front, and I really don't have that much more of this stuff. I mean, I do use this stuff for building, but just because, what else am I going to do with it? Otherwise it's scraps. You just have to burn it or whatever, and it's, you know, it's got one flat side on it, so it's basically a low-grade building materials. Maybe I'll just lay this out on the table and stick them all together and measure it and see how many feet we got of this stuff. It's kind of a good mix of colors. I almost went a little overboard there, and I did about 5 minutes of thinking staring at this, and I don't like the way that feels at all. Kind of breaking my one rules just to go at it and see what happens. Wanted to do these offcuts on this wall just because it looks cool, kind of like log cabiny. This is the front. The downside is I wanted to make the door swing out. So if you can imagine, the door's like this, and when it swings out, it's going to hit this wall right here, which is going to have siding on it. If it had flat siding, 1-inch cedar boards, like I'm going to do with everything else, then I could just put the hinge right into the siding almost. I don't know if you can picture, you know, here's a hinge. It wants to go like that, but with siding or whatever, it'd have to go out here. It's just not ideal, and I'm not going to go buy hinges. I've got about 50 of these used rusty hinges that are perfect for this. So then I considered moving this log cabiny side to that side, and you know what I'm going to do, like I always try to do, I'm not going to think about it. I want this side to look like this, so I'm just going to put it on there. And we'll figure out the door later. It'll work or it won't. Of course it'll work. Might take some modifying or whatever, but I think it'd look coolest with the logs on this side, so that's how we're going to do it. Deal with it, world, right? Right. Have to bust out my secondhand store nails. What are these? 16-penny hot dip galvanized box nails. I think that's meant for this kind of work. Actually, it's probably not, but I'm going to use them. They do bend easily. Oh, that's weird. That's the box nails don't have the fattest shank ever. I think that's so the wood doesn't split. But man, that went in and the end of it turned and came right out the side. Doesn't matter, but it's kind of interesting. That one did too. How weird. Can't let these short days stop work out here. Get a little bit more done anyway. Alright, tomorrow then. Although it's going to be about 20 degrees cooler. It's almost like a place, isn't it? Imagine that thing with the little propane stove inside. Yeah, that's going to be awesome. Cold this morning. Cold and sweaty at the same time. There's ice on everything. Well, that's all the offcuts I've got there. So I guess I'll have to do more milling eventually. Man, that's too bad. I'm like maybe two or three boards short. Probably two, because I'll just go up to that top plate there and then fill that in with whatever I got left over. I don't know. Maybe I'll end up with enough of them. So I guess I'm going to go ahead and do the fun one. Go through a bunch of lumber, do the back wall. I think I'm going to do this diagonal board and batten. Whoever heard of that? There's no telling how well it'll work, but I think it's going to look really cool. So I'm just going to start some big fat diagonals right across the middle of it, and then the batten part of it I'll just do later with scraps, whatever I got left over. I've got a lot. Been throwing all these little scraps in the burn pile. Unfortunately, they're covered in snow now, but they would work for the battens. It's kind of cool too, because I don't have to do full boards. Like, they don't have to be squared on the edges. They could just be the live edge, the stuff I cut off of the other boards. That would work for battens, I think. We'll definitely find out sooner or later. See if we can find some nice big fat ones to start with. There's some of them. There they are. So normally on a board like this, see how fat it is down here, and then it tapers down on that end. If you got to hook two of them together, it's kind of a pain in the butt to keep that taper in it, because you got to match this taper down to here and then continue it onto the next board. You can do it, it's just a little bit of a pain. You kind of got to do it on the wall, since I don't have a big concrete floor or anything around here to lay it out on. Looks great, right? Really nice thing about doing siding like this is it doesn't have to be perfect. So that gap is going to get covered up by another board, and you kind of fit the nail in between it there. So that gets nailed through the middle so that when these boards shrink up this way, it's still covered. That means, when I rip these off with the chainsaw, I really could just leave them. I kind of have already a habit of planing off the edges, so I'm just going to keep doing it, but it doesn't take very long. But this could be ragged, jagged, wouldn't make any difference. Since they're getting covered up, I'm not ripping them real narrow, using as much board as I can, so I get some chunks of bark left on them like that, which would be fine. It'll get covered up, but I at least like to take the bark off so it doesn't collect bugs or anything. I'm just tacking all of these in place because when the boards are all different widths, you got to make one fit to the next. Often have to put one on, figure the next one out, pull one off to make room for the straight edge or whatever. So this whole wall is just going to be tacked on, which is actually kind of a fun way to do it, because when you get done you can just go through it all and nail it in. Something kind of satisfying about that, just pounding nails for an hour on end. It always strikes me doing this stuff, how fast it would be. I mean, it doesn't take that long to put it together in such a small building, but how fast it'd be to have all the same width lumber, where when one end stops, you just throw another one on and don't have to figure every single board. Man, with store-bought 2x4s and a bunch of cedar siding, this would be like a one day build. It's a good thing it's not. What would I do tomorrow? Whew. It is getting chilly. I think it's down to about 10 degrees, and I'm down to one Ryobi battery, and that's not much when it's this cold. Probably not gonna be able to charge anything tonight, so actually I might have to call this video quits and run out of here for the night, just to charge stuff up. I might as well dry up my sleeping bag too, because it's going to be cold the next couple nights. Feel free to come back next week if you like. Try to get this finished, and we'll get at least a couple more walls on. Still can't tell from the lumber I have made here how far it's going to go. These are definitely the two more involved walls to put on. The other two side walls, vertical boards would be really easy, no funny corners. The other one's horizontal boards. That's super easy because the studs are already there to put them on, so they shouldn't be much trouble. I give it about a week and we'll have this thing closed in. I dug through the box that I have. I got the propane stove, and it's all in there. It's a little bitty thing. It's like 6-8 inches wide by, I don't know. It's super tiny sheet metal stove, but we'll see if it works. The only thing that'll slow things down is if I do run out of lumber and I run out of, let's see how many more. Yeah, I got about 8 or 10 more cedar logs over there I can mill up. If I run out of that, by the time I finish the walls, I'm going to have to trudge back through the woods there, maybe put out a tarp to sit on and mill up a aspen log for the roof. I don't know if that'll happen or not. I'm kind of curious how that'll mill. You'd think that milling frozen lumber would be a lot harder, a lot slower, but I'm not really sure. It hasn't been the case so far, and I can't remember from last winter or even the winter before. I don't remember if it was that much more trouble. I've been learning so much more about chainsaw milling in the last couple of years that any issues I had milling frozen lumber before might have just been technique or the wrong chain or whatever. So I don't know, we'll see what happens. I'm gonna give it I guess I'll keep going on this until my last Ryobi battery dies, and then probably have to take a day or two off until the temperatures come back up. Can't run the camera, can't do anything when it's below 0, so come on back. I'll be here. Thanks.